Today we have a special interview with a musician we had on Korea24 3 years ago, but she was not on our show to talk about her music. We spoke to her about her best-selling debut book, Crying in H Mart, a moving memoir about the loss of her Korean mother, exploration of her cultural heritage, the healing power of food, and about how all that came about from a visit to a Korean supermarket. The author is, of course, Michelle Zauner, the lead vocalist of Japanese Breakfast, and I'm delighted to say that she has joined us here in the studio today as she was invited to speak at the Seoul International Book Fair taking place this week. She's also been living in Korea for the past 6 months as she prepares her second book. So let's bring her in now to talk about it. Ms. Zauner, hello. It's a pleasure to have you on the show again.
Thanks for having me.
Yes, so it's been about 3 years since we last spoke to you and since Crying in H Mart was published. But for me, it seems like the book has stayed in people's consciousness all this time. The book seems to have had real staying power, receiving praise internationally. How has it been for you these past 3 years? How has the reception of the book impacted your career and your life?
It certainly gave me a lot of confidence, and it's allowed me to come to Korea to live for the year and study Korean, which is a dream I've always had and has gotten sort of more serious in my later age. And yeah, I couldn't have asked for a better response.
Did you expect the connection that it made with people, not just English readers, but throughout the world, really? This has been quite a successful book, to say the least.
Yeah, not at all. I mean, it's definitely gone above and beyond all expectations.
Right, and you've had various media appearances in the US as well. You've become pretty much a household name as well.
I don't know about that, but yeah, it's been a pretty wild ride these past few years.
Right, and the book was published in Korean as well in 2022. Have you been able to check out the Korean version or read the Korean version? I have it with me right here, actually. The Korean
version. It's a little above my current reading comprehension level, which is a strange experience. But yeah, I mean, it would be great if I could eventually read my own book in Korean. But it's really special that it gets to be here and that Korean readers have been able to connect to it, even though it's a very different type of experience.
Right. How did it feel to have a Korean translation of the book come out? Did you expect it when you first wrote it?
I think I certainly hoped for it. I mean, in a way, you know, my aunt, my last remaining, Korean relative, and I are sort of unable to communicate fluently with one another. And so I never was really sure how she felt or if she knew everything that I felt. So the fact that she was able to read it was really exciting for me and also really nerve-wracking. I definitely, the book has been published, I think, into at least 15 different languages, and none of them were as sort of nerve-wracking to kind of let go of that sense of control and really put that trust into a translator to convey what you hope to convey. So I was very nervous about it.
Sure. And how did your aunt respond to it then?
She responded to it really beautifully. It's really funny because when I got to see her a couple of years ago, she sort of sat me down at the kitchen table and took out a piece of junk mail and made this family tree and was like, your great-grandfather was a famous voice actor, and your grandfather was a famous voice actor, and I was a voice actor. And she drew this tree down to me where she's like, you come from this long line of artists and you have to continue to tell our family story. And I was simultaneously so pleased and pissed off because my whole life I've been sort of told that this was such a crazy dream, and now after the book's success my family is telling me, oh, we knew all along that you have this long artistic lineage, so it makes sense that you wound up here.
So a bit of retrofitting then about your personal story.
Feels very Korean.
Okay, and what about other Koreans who have read the book? How have they received it? Because it is on one hand quite a specific story about a multiracial Korean American, but it is also a story about Korean culture and Korean food and its history. Have you spoken to any Korean readers who have perhaps reacted to some ways that you expect or didn't expect?
Yeah, I mean, I was a little bit worried that Korean people would find the sort of lengthy descriptions of Korean food to something akin to like paragraphs about a bologna sandwich or something. So I was really pleased. I think that Korean people have such a reverence for our culture and for the food, and it's something that's so much a part of the way our families express love to one another. And so I was really comforted that was a shared feeling.
I understand, as you mentioned earlier, that you've been living in Korea for the past 6 months, and you plan to stay until the end of the year, right? So this is actually something you talked about when you spoke on our show in 2021, that you wanted to live in Korea for a year, experience Korean life for yourself and learn the language. So it seems you've achieved what you wanted to do.
Yeah, I mean, my mom always said to me, if I lived in Korea to 6 months to a year, she thought that I would be fluent. And I was much younger when she said this, so my decaying brain is struggling to keep up. But yeah, I've always wanted to learn the language. I mean, when I was much younger, I didn't really have the focus for it, and it's really interesting to get to learn as an adult, and it's very challenging. But I've been really enjoying the process, and I'm glad to have the opportunity to do so.
Right, what's it been like living in Korea for 6 months now? Was it what you expected, or has there been anything that you perhaps didn't know that you know now?
I thought I was going to be so lonely. I was deeply, deeply afraid of loneliness and not being able to make Korean friends. And I've actually developed such really beautiful, close relationships since I've been here. Also, since I'm a musician, I've just spent so much of the past few years touring and not getting to stay in one place. So even just the novelty of getting to watch the seasons change in a country and get to be there for people's birthdays and to see each other every week. And that has been really, really nice, to just live a slower pace of life. And also to put all of my energy into just studying one thing and to watch that grow has been a really precious process.
What about your Korean cooking? How's that come along while you've been living in Korea? How's it like shopping in Korean supermarket?
I mean, to be honest, there's so much great food in Korea, and it's so convenient and so affordable that it really makes no sense for me to cook Korean food here. So actually, when I cook food, it's typically Western food, because now it's sort of flipped, where I find myself sort of missing things that I can get in the US that I can't get here.
That's understandable. I guess you want to taste the real deal here from real Korean restaurants, and then perhaps later when you're preparing to go back home, you will prepare to make more Korean food back home, right?
Definitely.
Okay. And as I mentioned, you were invited to be part of the Seoul International Book Fair this year. What has that meant for you? How does it feel to be presenting your work here in Korea? The book specifically, I mean.
Yeah, I mean, it's really special. I think that there's still sort of this part of me that feels like a child that's really desperate to please the Korean community. It feels like when my mom would bring me around to the Korean community in the US, I was always sort of on my best behavior, and I feel like I'm sort of discovering that I still have that kind of feeling, that it's a very particular type of feeling that I have only here. And I'm also kind of just like getting more comfortable with it and finding my footing. But it's a real honor to be a part of this festival, and I'm really looking forward to it.
Right. And finally, we're quickly running out of time, but you're only halfway through your 1 year in Korea, right? What do you have planned for the next 6 months? I understand you're writing a second book, right?
So my second book is about studying the language and documenting the process of, if you can learn a language in a year with sort of full dedication. And I thought at first that I would have so much time on my hands just being a student, but it's a full-time job, and I'm just dedicated to being a model student and doing my best to improve my skills.
Right, so your focus is just going to be on learning Korean and experiencing life in Korea, you're saying?
Pretty much, yeah. And I'm trying to spend a lot of time with Korean friends and push myself to get more and more comfortable with speaking. And so, and kind of documenting that process. And then next year, I'll kind of look at the whole diary and find what the arc of the story is there.
Okay, so you're still looking for that arc. You still haven't figured out perhaps what this year has meant for you then as such so far?
I think I have some ideas, but I think that it will be much clearer once the year ends. I'm still like kind of, enduring a sort of sense of panic of like, is this enough time? I'm already halfway through and I'm nowhere near fluent in Korean. And so I think the arc will become more clear once my year comes to an end.
Well, we certainly look forward to the second book. We unfortunately are out of time. I would have loved to talk to you more about that book, your music as well, of course, and also what it was like meeting BTS at the Grammys. That was quite something that made quite a viral post as well, right?
Yeah, it's kind of funny because I am attending language school right now, and the teacher, when we were learning the word for celebrity, asked if we had like a meeting with a celebrity in person, and I was like, oh yeah, BTS 만났어요, and she was like, no, not. Where did you meet BTS? And I was like, oh, Grammys에서 만났어요, and she was like, no, we're not talking about TV, we're talking about 직접. And then she moved on, and I was so embarrassed because I was like, oh, she thinks I misunderstood the question, but really no one just believes that I actually met BTS. So it's been a really humbling experience, just being a humble.
Well, she didn't know she was in front of a real life celebrity as well. Okay, well, we are going to have to leave it there. We've been speaking to Michelle Zauner, lead vocalist of Japanese Breakfast and author of Crying in H Mart. Thank you for sharing your time with us today.
Thanks for having me.